Hello, my name is Dan Wright, Public Relations Manager for Fluke Networks. Just who are industry analysts, and how do they affect our business? Which ones are important, and why? How can we use what analysts think, write, and say to our advantage? This is the first in a series of short and to-the-point presentations that will help you better understand the role played by industry analysts. Let's start with the four primary customer segments served by Fluke Networks. The first three segments, the Datacom installers, the network technicians and engineers, and the communications service providers, all have one thing in common. Most of the products shown on this page are handheld, portable, and generally speaking, cost a few thousands of dollars, or in some cases, much less. But the fourth customer segment, the enterprise managers, are prime targets for Fluke Networks' performance management solutions. These systems are more complex, have a more lengthy sales cycle, and most important, the customers go to different sources of information when evaluating these systems. Where customers seek information changes as the price and complexity of the product increases. When customers are considering a portable network tester, there is heavy influence from trade magazines in the form of product announcements, reviews, tests, and evaluations. For a product that costs a few $1,000s, this serves as a good source of information. But a performance management system is far more complex and expensive. Few customers are going to trust that type of a purchase decision to something they read in a magazine. This is where customers look to industry analysts for advice. They are looking to the analysts to help them narrow the list of possible suppliers and to provide assurance to the customer that, in the end, they made the right choice. So which analyst firms are the most important? The short answer is the ones that are being paid by our customers for their advice. This chart divides the analyst landscape into quadrants. The key divider is the vertical line between the sell-side analyst firms, who get most of their money from vendors, and buy-side analyst firms, who get most of their money from end-user technology buyers, or ETBs. Let's look at the sell-side first. There are a few medium to large analyst firms who get most of their money from vendors. These firms fit a category called talking heads because they are large enough to be frequently quoted by the trade press. Also on the sell side are the consultants. In this group you probably see some names you recognize, like Frost & Sullivan and Aberdeen. There are more than 400 firms in this space, and they are all vendor-funded. Their opinions are for hire. Often vendors hire these analysts to write opinion papers or place quotes in the media on behalf of a vendor. These analysts will say or write almost anything that a sponsor vendor asks them to. On the sell side are a number of point players. These firms do receive some of their income from ETBs. And while these firms do have direct influence over buyers, these firms also tend to be small in size and focused on specific niche markets. Most of these niches do not fit with Fluke Networks' business. The last segment is called the deal makers and breakers. There are two, and only two, firms that get money from ETBs in large enough amounts to fit in this category. Those firms are Gartner and Forrester. Here is why these two firms are so important. The industry analyst market is roughly $2.8 billion in size. Gartner has 40% market share and roughly $1 billion in revenue. IDC, which is a sell-side talking head, is the second largest firm, and Forrester is third. That leaves more than 400 firms fighting for the last $1.2 billion. Do the math. On average, these firms are $3 million in size. Not to say that these firms, while small, can't make money. Sell-side revenue actually accounts for almost 2/3 of the total industry analyst market. But remember, this money is spent by vendors. Our customers are spending their money for advice and consulting in the other 1/3 of the pie, that goes to the buy-side firms. And who gets that money? 3/4 of the buy-side revenue goes to Gartner. Forrester claims about $127 million in buy-side revenue. After that, there are no other significant buy-side players. So summing up, which industry analyst firms are important? Our customers pay Gartner and Forrester for their advice. These are the most important firms. Roughly 85% of our performance management customers are Gartner clients. There is a 1 in 5 chance that a PFM customer is a Forrester client. Many of our customers are clients of both firms. And what about the other firms? Fluke Networks still speaks with many of them. Talking heads and even consultant firms are quoted in the trade press. We need them to understand our story. But we also need to prioritize our efforts, and the bulk of that effort is aimed at Gartner and Forrester. Because, as we have discussed, what these analysts think, what they write, and what they say has influence over our customers. In our next segment, we'll discuss what the analysts write, and again, which published reports are a priority and which are less of a concern.